Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of the Basement Boys Beer Review.
Is that what we're going with?
I'm Fred.
The afternoons run long, too.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
What are we doing today? Today we have a local brewery, more local than most, probably more well-known than the ones we've covered in the
This
past.
is Lord HOBO Brewery from, I believe, Woburn, Mass.
Yep, I've actually been to this brewery.
Have you?
Yep. Hopefully things are a little better for the brewery, because it was a beautiful place. It was really had a nice atmosphere, and the beers from everything I've had 3 out of the 4 we're doing today, and they're pretty good beers. A lot of people find Boom Sauce on tap throughout New England. It's a pretty common beer, a double IPA, probably one of the more common double IPAs in New England, craft-wise. But what do you say we get right into it with the
Freebird.
Golden Ale?
It's a golden ale. We got 5% alcohol.
All right. This is probably their equivalent to what, like a Bud Light, Budweiser type of deal?
Well, it's an ale.
Is that what a Budweiser is?
I'm not sure. I was actually doing a bit of reading over the week.
It's got like a Budweiser type of color.
It definitely does. And the differences between ales, lagers, and pilsners and wheat beers are they're very similar.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all made the same.
In taste, at the end of the day, what goes into them is very different. Definitely
It's easier to drink.
not my typical taste, for sure. It's definitely very light.
There's not a lot to it.
No, there definitely isn't. Mostly aftertaste. Yeah, definitely.
It's plain. It's good for the person that isn't looking for a lot in beer. I would say it's.
Yeah, this is for somebody that doesn't like beer.
It's easy to drink.
It's
I don't want to say it's bad because it's not bad.
If a Budweiser drinker was looking to go to a craft beer, this is it.
A great step.
Right here.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Freebird.
Yep. It's
Freebird.
That's what I'm gonna say. It's a Budweiser that doesn't suck.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I'm
Well, I don't
gonna
know if it
describe
doesn't suck, but
Oof.
it's definitely in the Budweiser family looking.
I kind of, you're being negative. I think I kind of.
Well,
I
after
like
last
it.
week's episode, where
Well,
you
know,
were negative on my beer. Right?
Hey, all right. Present me with a porter, you get a porter reaction.
Cheers. We're gonna finish this up, and we'll get back to you with the next one.
So apparently you hated the Firebird so much we didn't rate it.
Freebird. Freebird I did not like.
Well, you threw the can out as well.
Yes,
Clearly
and I
didn't
would
like
actually, as a rating, I would probably give that a 3 on a 1 to 10 scale.
On a craft beer level, I'm going a 4 because it definitely wasn't a craft beer, but for what it was, I would rate it higher. But we'll stick with the low score that Fred wants to give it, and 3.5 is the average. But if you like a Budweiser, which we don't know why you do, and odds are if you like Budweiser, you probably
wouldn't
not
be
watching
drinking
this
this.
channel
Yeah.
or drinking this. But if a Budweiser is your beer of choice, you happen to end up at Lord HOBO Brewery. Sorry, it did go down the pipe. I would definitely say that's the beer for you, but hopefully this next one is going to be the beer for me because that last one
This
certainly
is
wasn't
the
it.
617 Hazy IPA. Number 2.
I'm a big fan of the can. I know that's not very important, but it's got a nice Boston feel to it.
It does.
617.
For any Massatuckians.
That's wicked hard, kid.
Wicked hard.
This looks a lot lighter than the last one.
No, the last one was lighter than this.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely got a good haze.
Alright, let's see what we got.
It's definitely got a little bite. More, definitely more flavor than the last one.
Yeah. Yep. Well, anything really would.
Yeah. It's definitely more aromatic too, as well. I can definitely smell slightly.
Still a very simple beer, though, at the end of the day.
Yes. Yes, it is. Not too much complexity. with the 617 hazy IPA.
The vibe I'm getting so far from Lord Hobo is it's a great introduction to craft beer.
Yes. I mean, much like Sam Adams or like the Pete's Wicked Ales from yesteryear.
Jesus, I guess I'm too young for that.
You are. I mean, one of the things that got me into craft beer, two things actually, were Ice House, which was a Budweiser product back then, but it was like something that tasted different, and Pete's Wicked Strawberry Blonde.
Shit, you're old.
I am old. But those definitely, that was something so far different than what anything anybody had out at the time. That was a long time ago.
Then Sam Adams was really the first one in the area to be the craft beer.
Yes, they had the grandfather or godfather, whatever you want to call it, I would say. There was nobody really brewing beer back then.
I do enjoy Sam Adams. Some of the Sam Adams are pretty good.
It is. It's gone very commercial, but it is. It's definitely not a microbrew anymore.
No, I would
by
not
any
say
means,
it's a micro.
but it's definitely a better beer.
I would say a lot of the original microbrews are no longer microbrews. Like Harpoon IPA was originally
Definitely,
a
yeah.
microbrew.
But the same thing, I bought a 12-pack of Harpoon the other day. Actually,
IPAs?
the IPA.
They're not bad. They're not bad. But as far as this goes, this is very simple. The hazy is there, so I wouldn't say that it's not a hazy IPA, but I think it's more just along the lines of your standard IPA.
Mm-hmm. What do you give it, Joe?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I go definitely higher than the last one. Try it out of the can. Definitely drink it before a football game. Maybe a nice Red Sox game. It's a good beer. It doesn't.
Good primer.
I don't want to say it's a bad beer and give it a low score, but I'm going to go 6.5 on the hazy.
I'll give it a 6. And it's 6.17% alcohol.
And that's what we're going to rate it.
It's
It's a 6.17 on the scale.
6.17. It's about right.
Hockey car. You know, it's about all you can say about the beers.
All right, let's finish these up and get on to number 3.
All right.
All right, we're here, ready for beer number 3. This is Boom Sauce from Lord Hobo, probably the most commonly found in the area. 7.8% alcohol.
I would say this was actually probably one of my first IPAs.
This is the first one I tried from Lord Hobo.
Well, that means you've been to a bar in New England.
Yeah.
The color is more equivalent to the Firebird, lighter than the hazy.
This is a double
They
IPA.
claim it to be a double at 7.8.
It's actually got a little bit more amber, I think, but still definitely not as hazy as the 617.
Boom.
Definitely a better bite.
It's definitely more along the lines of a craft beer than the other two.
It's got definitely a hoppy flavor. Or more of a hoppy flavor.
I would hope so. It's a double IPA.
Yeah, a lot more complex.
Even for a double IPA, though, I gotta be honest, that's not as strong as I would expect.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely smooth. Very drinkable.
It's light for an IPA.
Definitely of the 3 we've tried so far,
The best.
this is definitely the best.
I mean, if we're letting in on a little secret, I wanted to try the Lord Hobo. You definitely were kind of against it. I got the vibe.
I find Lord Hobo to be kind of a mediocre, like they're on the verge of being not so microbrew.
Yeah, they're definitely getting up there with their popularity. And they're almost along the lines of a Sam Adams.
Not just popularity, production-wise.
Yeah,
Like they're definitely
out
going
there.
to bigger batches, bigger. It's not the small, usual, something I seek out.
No, but I could see how this dominated the IPA scene in New
It
England.
is definitely drinkable.
It's definitely easy to go down. It's not a bad beer by any standards.
No, it's definitely not.
It's just, I guess the best way to describe it is, with what we've tried over the past few weeks, I'm starting to see that this is more of not a complex beer as I once thought it was.
So you see why I gave you the other beers first?
Yeah, it kind of brought me down to reality that Lord Hobo isn't as much of a craft beer as much as I thought it was. It is more of a, like you said, a staple in the microbrew because it kind of started the revolution. They were definitely.
I wouldn't even say they started the revolution.
They were a leader in the
You're
micro.
so young.
In my generation, I guess.
Maybe for the 2000s.
But my generation being from New England, this is definitely one of the more popular craft beers that has led the microbrew.
Probably the last 10, 15 years, they've definitely come a long way. But we're going to finish this up and get on to our... We did a fourth beer this week.
We got to rate it.
Oh, yeah.
You really got into rating the beers this week.
Well,
you forgot the Freebird in the beginning.
I'll rate this one.
Lord Hobo for a double IPA. If I had tried this, I gotta say, if I had tried this first, if this was our first episode, I would have rated it higher. But some double IPAs that I've had before in previous episodes have showed me that this is not the quality that I once thought it was. So I'm gonna have to go with, I give it a 6 even.
I'm actually, well, yeah, I gave these 6.7 and 6, so I'm gonna give this one a 6.25.
6.25. I mean.
You don't have to change
That
yours.
sounds like an average score. I'd go 6.5 so we can meet in the middle and 6.25 it. But that's definitely a good score. We did give the 617 a 6.17.
That's right.
And I would say this is a little better, definitely.
Yes.
So we'll go 6.5 on the boom sauce, I'd say, as an average score. It's not hard to come by, so if you're in New England, I would definitely give it a shot. If you see it out on your local tap display, it's usually there.
But let's finish this up so we can get to the fourth one.
Fourth main event, coming soon.
All right, we're off to number 4 here.
4 is the main event.
This is the main event. This is the rotational series. This is relatively new. Although when I logged this into Untapped, it actually led me to another beer, Sante, Slanja, whatever it is. I don't know.
You think they might be brewing something in disguise and relabeling it?
It's kind of a... Yeah. I think they brewed it before. They just gave it a different name and a label.
I'll be honest. The name and the label, I don't know if... Can you see the label in that?
It's Hindsight 2020. It's part of a rotational series. This is number 1 of 6.
I'm gonna come in a little closer so you can see. I'm a big fan of this can, actually. Is that a good shot right there? But it's got 2020 in the rear view. Hindsight 2020. Very creative name at the very least. Hope I got a good shot at the can there. You got the color.
It's actually,
on the
it's not.
I'm gonna go out.
It's
of the
actually
can
pretty.
for this.
There's some clarity in this, and it's pretty clear.
It is pretty clear. I'm gonna stay with the can. Oh, it's unlike anything else we've had. Definitely.
No, this is definitely on an upper echelon, I guess, of Lord Hobo.
This is more what I would expect from a craft brewery.
They do have a few more varieties in the cans this size.
This was
as more of their craft brew style.
If we're gonna give away a little secret here, this was a variety pack.
Yes, this is a variety pack, which something I don't usually do. I did this really just for Joe because I made him fucking barf on the last show.
He's been telling me how good Lord Hobo really isn't, and I've hyped it up to him. But I guess today was a come to Jesus moment for me. That it really wasn't a. It's not the best brewery. They have their place in the lineup, definitely.
I mean, honestly, it falls into the kind of mediocre. They're on the, although
it's like we said.
I'd like to say mediocre, but at the same time, they're like on the verge of becoming more than just a microbrewery or a nano brewery.
It was like in between takes we kind of talked about, and maybe we'll give a little secret on the labels. But somebody pointed out, our cameraman Tap. You know a brewery isn't really a microbrewery when the cans are pre-made. It's not a sticker. Pre-printed, pre-made, whatever. If you notice...
Microbrews and nano brews tend to be stickers because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Like they can buy a generic can and just throw the label on it.
Like if you see I have an old can of from a previous, the remnant, you can probably take me a minute now that I can.
As you can see...
You can pull that sticker right off from a previous... These cans are made. So this brewery is definitely not of the micro variety, but this one right here, like you said, they do tend to stay in the market with the micro brews. because they have their limited releases. So they kind of
Right.
have their spot in both varieties. Where I'd say is these beers are more mainstream now on the
Absolutely.
Sam Adams level or something. I would say these are the lesser known beers you have to find in your craft stores. And even like I said, with the come to Jesus moment of how good these three beers aren't really, they really redeemed themselves, I think, with the hindsight.
This is
2020.
definitely a better quality beer, without a doubt. It's definitely a
enjoyed
smaller
this one a
batch. It's more refined flavor. I mean, I would definitely give this one a 7.
I'm gonna go 7.5 on this for a grand total of 7.25.
Yeah,
But
I'll
overall,
go with that one.
so 7.25. We had however, the one we're reviewing right now, and let's not get off a track. The hindsight 2020, like you said, 6. I'm gonna get a 7. You said
I said it. Yeah, I did say 7.
7. I'm gonna give it a
I
7.5. We'll meet in the middle for a 7.25. And I think it's really important, like we said, this beer redeems itself almost in a way for the craft brewing of Lord Hobo.
Yeah.
And I really respect the fact that they've covered the mainstream market and the craft market, and it really shows that they're trying to continue the craft market.
And
not
honestly,
just go
price-wise,
mainstream.
too, I mean, it definitely... This is still cheaper than, like, say, a Remnant or a Greater Good.
So
like
it's
we've had
definitely,
the past
if
couple
you're
shows.
somebody looking to get into craft beers, I would say Lord Hobo is definitely a great place to start. You can find a variety pack at
Yep.
any local
Pretty much any variety
beer store, variety
any
store,
liquor
store.
any packy in Mass, or liquor store, or
And if
convenience
you're
store.
from, if you're from other
New
parts of
Hampshire.
the country, I'm sure that if you check out lordhobo.com, they're out of Woburn, Massachusetts. Woburn, not Worcester.
Woburn.
I'm sure you could even have some shipped to you throughout the country.
I believe
But
they do.
let's finish it up with
And
a
what do you,
sip of the hindsight 2020.
I would recommend somebody buy, at least pick up this one if you're into the
Yeah,
more
if you're really only into the
refined
craft
flavors.
beers, which we imagine if you're here, that's what you are into. The hindsight 2020, although it may be something else in disguise, we'll have to look a little further into that. It's definitely got my recommendation, but overall, Lord Hobo,
What do you say for the brewery?
the brewery. We're gonna review the brewery.
Why not? Might as well do it.
Well,
We're here.
it's hard for me to give it a low number because it's a brewery that has a strong place in my heart. So I'm going to go with a 7.5 overall on the brewery.
7.5. Well, brewery as a whole, I'm gonna have to, go
Have you
lighter,
been?
'cause I have not been to the brewery, the tap room. I have not
Tap
been
room,
to the tap
that's a
room.
better way to say it, yep.
But I'd probably give this Lord Hobo. I'd probably give like a 6.
A 6.
Yeah.
So,
But because I am basing it off of the majority of their fan base, I think.
I really, like I said,
But I
emphasized-
definitely recommend trying out some of their upper echelon.
I would say
upper
if
tier.
you're somebody looking for a transition from your normal commercial beers to a craft beer and you're in New England, this is an easy one to introduce
an
to
easy
the market.
transition.
And if you're somebody already into craft beers, they have a great selection. So it really, to me, that's why they got such a high score, in my opinion, that they have a lot of props for covering both the markets. And this really is a good craft beer. But I think this is a good one to end on. We've got a 7.5 from me and a 6 from Fred. Say 6.75.
I don't know, but I think the alcohol content has definitely met Joe's appreciation.
What are you trying to say? Because I do things? I'm going to finish this beer.
I'm gonna wrap it up.
You got anything else you want to say about the
No.
brewery, Fred?
Everybody have a good week.
Thank you for
Happy
tuning
drinking.
in. Cheers.
Cheers.